And this was a really cool share. I just got this random email, and I thank you for this. And it just says, in the park of the exposition, there were 3 entrance porticos. The one seen in the photo was the main one. It was the last to be demolished in 1950 to expand the Avenue España in the name of progress and urban development. It seems like some was preserved, and I thought we'd just have a little look. This is a type of World's Fair in Peru. I don't think we've ever talked about the Peruvian World's Fair before. Very exciting. I love Peru. I love the people, the music, and the history that I thought I knew about Peru. I'm sure if this is new to me, it will be new to many of you as well. Seems like these World's Fairs just keep popping up everywhere. So I thank you for being here. God bless and welcome. So I always like to start out with what we see. This is one of the gates, and I think this is a good example of something untouched post-reset. And up here in Peru, they don't know what to do with it. They want to demolish it to make room for the avenue of whatever, España, I believe it was. The avenue of Spain. Why do you need to demolish this? There's plenty of room all over here. There's plenty of room in Peru. No great population density, especially not in this time period. Look at this. The portico of the exhibition, or the door, basically the port or the doorway in Lima, Peru. And looking very established. I mean, this is like 1870. Look at the wrought iron gate. Everything in great shape right here. What was this? The south? I'm not sure which one this was. Here it is again. Just unbelievable. And quite frankly, not seeming very Peruvian at all. But as we see everywhere, I think the people inhabiting a particular region are not the original people of these areas. Park of the exhibition. The park was occupied by the south gate of the walls of Lima, known as the Puerto de Guadalupe, in 1870. So you see, President Jose Balta, Jose, ordered the demolition of these walls. That's it, in 1870. I mean, 1870 Peru may as well be 1800. I mean, at the very least, it's like our 1870. You're gonna walk upon something like this in 1870 and say, demolish it. Come on, this is more important than whatever this man thinks in 1870. He ordered the demolition of these walls to modernize the city. That's it. In 1870, you're modernizing? I mean, you're just getting started. There's no modernizing. There should be no demolishing in this time period. You should be grateful for anything like this in your presence. Anyone who wants to demolish this in 1870 is either a fool or actively covering up history. But what's interesting is they tell us that this location would be aimed at building a park that would house the International Exhibition of 1872. 1872 Peru? Thus, alongside the park rose the Exhibition Palace. Ah, yes. And right off the get-go, it gets juicy. I mean, like right away. The construction of the building took place between 1870 and 1871. Ding! 1 year. My favorite are the 1-year buildings. Just hasty writing of history. Why just 1 year? Why not at least the same as today? But no, they do the opposite. Not even the same as what it would take today. They do the opposite. They built it in 1 year. It was designed by an Italian architect, Antonio Leonardi, in a neo-Renaissance style. So here we go. 1870, 1 year. Probably 1 million square feet like all the other ones. Worthy of being a train depot. In fact, we can see train tracks that have had grass planted in them. is what it looks like to me. This was some sort of station, and this has been grassed over. Some sort of light hanging here. 1870. Clearly some kind of transportation. And here she is again. This is just an engraving, but we can see the fairgoers in Peru. Just very Peruvian. Exactly what I think of when I think of Peru. People with little umbrellas and this palace, of course. The Peruvian palace. And today it's been turned into, guess what? A museum. Of course. All of these are turned into museums or government buildings or something. And this is a great picture. And actually, I'm really glad I use Wikipedia. I've been criticized for it, but at least we know the source. This is official history, cited. And I've said before I use it to mock or poke holes in history. But when it comes to their pictures, I'm very pleased. Yes, I think there's manipulation. The sky looks very white, but the photo does look authentic to me. And it doesn't look like new construction, as usual. Some windows here appear to have just been painted. Anyway, just not new, but very, very beautiful. Sometimes we see windows bricked up. In this case, they seem to have just been painted. And this celebration was to celebrate 50 years of Peruvian independence. So 50 years before this, we have this battle in Peru, and things went so well that they started throwing up buildings like this, and entryways like this, and again in 1 year. Building from 1870 to 1871. In 1872, both the palace and park were inaugurated, and the exhibition took place soon after. Inaugurated, dedicated, founded. So basically, this amount of time is enough time to just clean things up, paint it. After the expo, the palace was home to the Society of Fine Arts. 1872. During the War of the Pacific, the building was looted, so they lose control soon after. And to this day, this building still stands. After changing hands several times, now it's a museum. Here she is. An old 1870s building, built in 1 year. What is the population in Lima in 1870? I don't know. They say like maybe 1 million people in all of Peru. I mean, this is just Lima that we're looking at. But it tells us furthermore between 1825 and 1885, which is this period that we're looking at, there was a transition period in statistical history. And then, in 1940, an earthquake hits the city, and Lima starts a period of rapid growth, spurred by immigration from the Andes region of Peru. Population estimated at 600,000 in 1940, reaches 1.9 million by 1960, and 4.8 million by 1980. And yet most of this stuff that we're looking at appears to have been built way before this population boom. The museum is located in the Palace of the Exposition. It was inaugurated, the museum, in 1961. So you see, even they continue to use this wording. Inaugurated is like repurposed, the way they're using it. Repurposed into a museum. And here again another picture. Museum of Art. So just like in America, ours were turned into similar things. Similar stories with our World's Fairs, and then turned into museums, and sometimes observatories. Anything really. The park had military use. It was used as a hospital. The same story. Then they have their independence, and Augusto something was ordered to build several additional buildings, such as Byzantine Hall. Here we simply see the Byzantine Pavilion. We haven't seen the hall yet. ordered. It's just funny how they are so serious. They ordered this building to be built, probably again in 1 year. Look at this Moorish pavilion. They actually call it the Moorish Pavilion. Look at this. 1870s Peru Moorish Pavilion. Gorgeous. And then we fast forward to 1961. Oh, and I didn't talk about the zoo and the national parks and wildlife refuge areas. This just has it all. I'm going to stay on point. In 1961, someone orders the demolition. Again, this Augusto man. Here we go. Here's the demolisher. He does not look happy. So he orders the demolition and the construction of a new civic center, currently home to the military and a museum. Oh my God, look at this thing. Sick. So here we go. Look at this. What? And I don't know why I love this type of architecture. Look at the tech here. 1, 2. And I'm a builder. I've been building for myself my whole life, and I love it. But compared to this, I suck. And everyone sucks. Everything I see everywhere is garbage. And here, this guy Augusto, in our narrative of history, is ordering things like this to be built, sometimes torn down. The Museum of Arts in Lima, Peru. So I should have known, of course I should have known, but I didn't. This is not the Peru I thought I knew. Perhaps these structures were built using llama and alpaca. So they're telling us that was built in 1961. I'm not sure. Anyway, I don't take this narrative very seriously. This is the Peruvian World's Fair, after all. Just that alone doesn't make any sense. From 1870. By the 70s, 1970, the park fell into severe decline. Oh, let's just fix that place up. It's falling into decline. Population and history of Lima begins with its foundation in 1535. Prosperity comes to an end in the 18th century due to an economic downturn. Okay, here are the streets. Population growth accelerates in the 1940s. This gave rise to a proliferation of shanty towns. Ups and downs, but in 1850, Lima increases its revenues from guano exports, which led to rapid expansion of the city. 1850. So they start selling bat shit. That's what guano is. Bat poop. And the bat poop went so well, they're having this expo 20 years later. And they're building this in 1 year. And they have some war that we talked about, the War of the Pacific, 4-year war around the late 1800s. And after the war, the city undergoes a process of urban renewal, 1890 to 1820. Now this is kind of when everything gets going, all throughout the realm. Everything else is just a backstory, in my opinion. I mean, that's when the people are coming in, really, is what I'm saying. All this stuff is already here. I mean, they're telling us they're having the urban renewal in the 1890s, but yet in the 1870s they built this. What urban renewal is my point? This is great. What else do you need? There's no renewing anything. But in fact, it is the truth. That's all they're doing, is renewing the urban area. Painting, landscaping, fixing the roads, fixing the buildings. In 1920 and 1930, several buildings of the historic center were rebuilt, including the government palace. Okay, so their government palace is so much more beautiful than our government palaces. And in their words, they're just fixing it up. Just pulling their shit together and fixing it up. Renewal. In the 1920s and 30s, several of the historic buildings were rebuilt, including that government palace and the historic center. Here's the historic center. Unbelievable. Look at this. Cathedral with massive, massive doors. Look at this man sitting down here. So here we go. Here's our old Peru. Here I want to talk about melting and mushrooms. This was a photo sent to me by Larry. Screenshot he took of a documentary he was watching. And all these are like melted columns. Some of these pictures are excellent. I just did a reverse image search and I'm getting a lot of things like this, which are right on as well. I think still emphasizing the same point. Perhaps it's New Mexico, maybe Utah. And I should go outside and snap a picture, and maybe I will, but in case I don't, this is my backyard. This is where I keep my wood. A little shed I built out of old pallets. And right here there's a stump. There's a few cut pieces of wood, big ones, logs. And I watch the snow melt off of these. Again, I hope I'll go out and take a picture. But anyway, you can see a little mushroom right here. It's forming into a mushroom. It's melting, but it's melting in a mushroom shape. The snow by the warmer part at the bottom is warmer than the top, creating a mushroom shape. So then I look at all these other mushrooming things in nature. In Utah, we have a place called Goblin Valley, full of mushrooms. But my point is, what we see with the melted snow outside is the same thing that we see with this geology. This scar has been superheated and melted in a flash. This was not some kind of river up here in the hills, no. And what remains is our proof. And this is really good. I see this all over where I live. Here the caption tells us iron-stained sandstone in Theodore National Park. Iron-stained. Metal. Iron metal. I don't know why they stuck this junk in the picture, but... And recently I took this picture. This again is my house. You can see I haven't finished it yet. And the woodpeckers have been stealing this house wrap before I've had a chance to cover it. It must make good nesting. But anyway, look at the way this is melting. I just want to focus on observing the way that ice or snow melts and then compare it to rocks and show that it wouldn't take billions of years for this to happen. It could happen in moments or as quick as a melt. So now I'm going to take you to a place not far from my house called Fantasy Canyon. And here is what we get at Fantasy Canyon. A fascinating place to explore, and it's sad that it's located in my area because it's not appreciated. It's surrounded by oil wells. Vandals come out here and break chunks off. And they tell us this is the result of millions of years, of course. Water melting and carving the rock over millions of years. And I simply propose that this is the byproduct of the same plasmatic event that we see ripping through our realm. Here again. And every time I go out here I have different ideas, but I just wanted to show the comparison to this ice. Is it not exactly what we're seeing? Let me turn it upside down and then we can go back. But yeah, a really anomalous place, no doubt. Best time to go is at sunset and you'll get photos that look like this. And as much as I've researched these anomalies throughout our realm, I still don't know what to make of these structures. Today, as I share this with you, I'm seeing things I haven't before. It's as if this area was hit so hard these structures could have been much, much larger and have almost shrunk, been compressed through the heat, but perhaps they were so complex that they retain these unique features. Perhaps the most extreme example of old melted architecture. So I just want to end with this little video that I took outside the other night, and it was the phenomenon that people will call Starlink, a fishy, musky project. And this thing just popped over the horizon, and I watched it cross the sky in 2 minutes, as you can see here in this recording. 2 minutes, crossing the sky, which was at least 200 miles of sky. And I did my calculations, which I don't have right now, but that came out to like 2,000 miles an hour. And they want to say these are balloon satellite-y things, and I don't think so. That's all. This seemed like some kind of luminary phenomenon. And I think everything unusual now that will take place in the sky is going to be blamed on some weird Musk technology. I mean, how can we take anything Musk seriously at this point? Sorry. And I think this is much more interesting than we're being led to believe it is. Similar to eclipses, just dismissed. Even though, as we discussed in a past video, there have been dozens of recorded eclipses where the sun and moon have both been visible in the sky. And I saw this on several videos before I saw it in person. And this was so low and moved so fast. And I just thought I'd share and get your take on it. So for today, I thank you for being here. Do have a blessed day. I love you all. And I'll see you next week.